Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you here to the sixth race of the season for season 2 of the Dark Horse IndyCar Series under the lights at the track just a tick over a mile in the desert, Phoenix International Raceway. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Tom Bourne here this evening. And Tom, not a whole lot of banking for these drivers to work with, and they're going to be carrying some awfully high speeds into the corner. I'm going to be kind of concerned about these drivers in terms of each other's braking zones.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a different race tonight than what we've seen in the past. Especially on the mile-and-a-half tracks where they do have a lot of banking and stuff. But like you said tonight, it's going to be fast, but it's also going to be tight. This track isn't very wide until you get down on the backstretch where they can fan out 4, 5, 6 wide if they want to. So it's gonna be an interesting race to watch.
Definitely is. 120 laps here tonight, and the streak has come to an end. We saw Robert Maleska III go 5 for 5 at the start of the season of starting on the pole position. It translated into 2 victories, 2 of them being back-to-back wins at both the road course of Road America and then following up last week at Texas Motor Speedway. But here tonight, new pole sitter as Eric Schaus starts on the inside of the front row, a driver that comes into this race tied for 6th in the point standings. And so, what do you think, Tom? Phoenix, is it a track position track, or is there a possibility of drivers being able to work their way through traffic up to the front?
Honestly, it can go either way. Depending on what car you're driving here, it could be a track position, race, or it could just be an all-out, straight 120 lap shoot to the finish. You never really know what you're gonna get, but I'm excited to watch and see what happens.
Take a look here at our Lionheart IndyCar Series starting lineup as the pace car is going to turn them loose, and we're getting ready to go racing here at Phoenix International. Schaus going to lead them down, Robert Maleska III in second, and it's going to be the 72 leading them with new colors into turn 1.
Yeah, Schaus got a great start on the initial start of the race, and he's already pulled out to about, I want to say, a 4 to 5 car length lead. Robert back up to second now as he cleared the 5 car of Charles Teed. These laps are going to tick by very, very quickly. If this thing continues to go green, this race is going to be done very, very fast.
Definitely is. These drivers are able to make it around here about 23 and a half seconds. And as you just stated there, Tom, it's not going to take them long at all to get around this racetrack as Schaus leads, Maleska III second, then Charles Teed and Covey Moore completing the top 4. Best battle right now looks like it could be closing up for a spot inside of the top 5. You got Alex Van Desant, Matt Wagner, Eric Peterson. We got trouble in the back. Caution is out. 3 cars in trouble, including Jeffrey Duncan, Craig Forsyth, and looks like the other car might be the 88 of Michael Spell.
Yeah, those cars went for a little bit of a tumble, it looked like.
And remember that these drivers do have one faster pair at their disposal, and with the damage I'm seeing there on the 27 and the 88, boy, they may have to use it as early as lap 4.
That's not good, especially in a 120-lap race. It looks like the 74 of Paul Jennings, he also got involved in that wreck. I'm not too sure. Let me double check. But, yeah, it looks like he ended up getting involved in that wreck as well.
You would be correct. He's actually the one that went flying up into the air right there, as it looked like the 27 of Forsyth just got really, really loose. And again, as I said, it's a really, really low banking here in the corners at Phoenix. And even though the Indy cars, for the most part, have a lot of low downforce, apparently for those Firestones, this track surface very slick.
Yeah, just in general, this track surface is always slick, especially on new tires. I don't know much about the Indy cars and how they run, but all I know is they go fast and there's not a lot of braking. So, see what happens.
Saw on board right there with Forsyth, and just saw how the car got out from underneath him, up and over he goes. Fortunately, I think our camera is going to survive, but barely.
Well, and I hope it survives because we don't have that in the budget to fix it.
But Forsyth, I saw when he actually was leaving the scene of the accident, a lot of suspension problems on that car. That car was almost literally bouncing down there on the apron of the back straightaway, the dog leg area. He has made it to pit road, though, as has Michael Spell. They are off the lead lap currently, and Paul Jennings had to teleport back to pit lane, and so therefore he's going to lose quite a number of laps under this pacing period as well. So Eric Schaus and Charles Teed with some new colors there on both of their machines, first and third, bookending Robert Maleska the third in the second position. We didn't talk about the points coming into this race, and it's actually not much of a battle after Maleska won the last two races. He has 48 points over Matt Wagner, 49 over Victor Santos, 55 over Forsyth, who just got involved in that wreck, and then 64 over Charles Teed. And we know, Tom, that there are no playoffs when it comes to an IndyCar series. It just comes down to who's been the most consistent, racked up the most points at the end of the season is going to win the championship. And in the case of Robert Maleska III, the consistency he's had already may make it a little bit easier for him in the second half of the season to hold everybody off and maybe easily be able to win this championship.
Yeah, definitely. But that one bad race could bunch everything back up. And, at least going from my experiences, you have that one bad race and it's like, oh, am I going to have another bad race this next week? And, sometimes that whole mentality of trying to make sure you don't have one ends up making you have another one. So we'll see.
If we look at previous races this season to kind of maybe find a person to be a favorite here tonight in terms of the length of the track, well, last time out at Iowa, which is another mile track, it was Charles Teed who went to victory lane. He's running in the third position, so we'll see if he'll be able to join Maleska III as a multi-time winner this season. Right now, Maleska, the only one of those drivers, Teed, Matt Wagner, and Pablo Diaz-Francis have also been to victory lane this year. Eric Schaus still looking for his first victory on the year, and another driver that's been very, very consistent. We're about to get the one to green here, as it looks like Jeffrey Duncan back down pit road in the 32. And the drivers that were involved in that wreck, Michael Spell, will continue on. He'll be one lap down. Paul Jennings and Craig Forsyth, they return to the track as well, but 2 laps down to the leaders. So obviously we don't want to see a caution fest here tonight, but those are drivers that would love to see a couple more yellows to get back in the lead lap.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be rough for them to get their laps back on their own. But, and like I said, anything can happen. It's iRacing. You never know. As the green flag is back in the air, and Schaus gets an amazing launch again right when that green flag flies.
Interesting that he chose way down in the bottom and actually took a rather slow, or shallow, I should say, entry into turn 1, whereas Maleska III and Charles Teed, they actually swung it out wide to be able to drive it deeper into turn 1, and that's something else we're going to be seeing during the course of the night. Different drivers have different ways to approach these corners. You either want to gain it on entry and lose it on exit, or lose it on entry and gain it on exit, and a lot of times it sometimes equals out, which is why we usually have a lot of side-by-side racing.
Yeah, as we got a battle for the lead right now between Schaus and Maleska. One thing I always wanted to do is, when I'm racing, is give it up on entry and, get all the speed on exit, because you know what? You're going down that straightaway. You got to carry as much speed down that straightaway as we got to pass for the lead right now.
You do indeed. How about that? The longer way around the racetrack, the outside line, and Robert Maleska III made that look easy. Only took him 1 lap to swing around the 72, and just like that, he is pulling away. So even though he wasn't able to go 6 for 6 in capturing poles this season, that speed is still there underneath that 91.
Yeah, he's already opened it up to almost a second lead in 1.5 laps. That car is on rails right now.
And right now in 6th position is the driver that's trying to run him down for the points lead. Former points leader from a couple of weeks ago, Matt Wagner, our winner from Auto Club. He's looking ahead at this battle between Charles Teed and Alex Van de Sant, which is for the 4th position.
Yeah, as we got a gaggle of cars underneath the blanket. You got Teed and Alex like that. Like you said, Matt Wagner. Another guy that's kind of joined the fray right here is Eric Peterson in the 36. He's running in 7th, right behind this little pack. And as I say that, Jim Brooks has closed up on him with Nick DeGroot.
You want to talk about a driver that needs a good run here tonight. It has not been the start to the season that he wants for Eric Peterson. He comes into this race having started every race this season, but mired all the way down in the 31st position in points. Nice to see him run up here inside of the top 10. We'll see if he can close out the deal, as right behind him is the defending champion, Nick DeGroot. And while DeGroot's not really had that bad a season, it's not exactly been the blazing speed that we've seen out of the one car last season when he went to victory lane 5 times en route to that championship. Right now, 8th in points. A lot of luck has not gone his way if he's going to defend that title, I think now is the time that he's got to start fighting victory lane.
Yeah, he's definitely got to pick up the pace a little bit. And he's doing a very good job right now. I don't think he has the speed for that 91 machine, but I definitely think he's got a solid top to as
oh boy! DeGroot hard into the wall, and he's going to collect up another driver. I believe that might have possibly been Dylan Moskowitz. Caution is going to fly as contact for the 7th position.
Wow. I'm talking about drivers. I really am. Just spoke about Nick and he gets into a wreck. I don't like that. It might be a fluke thing, but I'm just gonna call the race how I see it. I'm not talking about anybody.
That was Jim Brooks, I believe, in the 76 that was behind Nick DeGroot. And there you see it into the corner. And we both held our breath because we saw that it looked like there was going to be contact. Indeed, there was. DeGroot just couldn't hang on to it. And indeed, it was the 3 of Dylan Moskowitz that got into him. A lot of front-end damage on his machine as well, as that will bring out the caution for the 2nd time here tonight. And again, 20 laps in, and we've got at least 5 drivers now that I can count that more than likely are going to have to use their fast repair here and now.
Yeah, and one thing I'd be worried about if you're using that fast repair now, it changes your strategy. Like, all right, well, am I going to chill a little bit and wait until the end of the race, hopefully get that late race caution to, go for it and bunch everybody back up? Or should I try and go up front and stay there and risk getting into another accident?
And as you mentioned that, we had just about everybody come down pit road here. I believe 3 drivers stayed out. Currently looking at the leader, Alex Van de Sant, Jim Herrick, and Kristen Nelson. They all stayed out, whereas Maleska III, Eric Schaus, Kobe Moore, Matt Wagner, they all came down pit road for what appears may have been just, I'm not sure if that was topping off the fuel tank or if they did actually take tires or not. But, obviously with only 3 cars out, guys like Maleska III, Schaus, Moore, they're not really running into the issue of giving up a lot of track position and putting themselves back in traffic. As got another car hitting pit road there. I believe that is Paul Jennings, the lap machine in the 74.
Yeah, that's something, with the speed those top 3 guys have been showing. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be a problem to pass those 3 cars that stayed out. I think this was a good call to just top it off with fuel. I don't know the fuel range in these cars or anything like that, but I think that was a good call.
What about this strategy here for Van de Sant staying out? Because he's going to be at 19 lap difference on tires. And that's something that we're not really all that certain about here tonight with the nighttime conditions of just how much those tires are going to wear. So do you think this is a good strategy? Try and save a set of tires for later on in the race? Try and manage how much track position you lose here on this run? Or do you think that maybe with the fact that he was running at the time up inside of the top 5, he probably should have come to pit road with everybody else?
Yeah, I think it's a good call. Do it early now to see how it goes. And, if it doesn't work, then for later in the race. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this. And then you do have that extra set. Or if it does work, then you could use that later in the race too. Like, all right, you know what? It worked the first time. The track's just going to get cooler as the night goes on.
Lights out, top pace car. We're going back green flag racing. 20 laps currently underway. We're getting ready now to enter into the 6th, if you will, of this race. Michael Spell did get the lucky dog under that caution, so 27 drivers will be on the lead lap of 29 still running when we go back green. It's Van de Sant, Jim Herrick, and Kristen Nelson on 20-lap old tires. Then 4th place will be Maleska III, Eric Schaus in 5th, Kobe Moore, Matt Wagner, Charles Teed, Eric Peterson, and Jim Brooks. They will complete the top 10. Nick DeGroot did come down pit road. He did, I believe, take his fast repair based on the amount of time he spent in pit road. Restarts back in the 23rd position. So we'll be following him on his quest to get back up through the field as Van de Sant, who is another driver looking for his first win of the season, really gets a nice jump there. And my goodness, he's gone. I mean, there's about, 7-8 car lengths before they even got to the start-finish line.
Yeah, that was probably the best restart that I have seen all night long. I know there's only been 3 of them, but he put those other 2 restarts to shame right there.
Now the task is going to fall to Robert Maleska III to make his way around Kristen Nelson and Jim Herrick. We're going to get to see the difference between fresh tires versus old tires here. And right now, while it's not really looking like there's a whole lot of difference in speed, I'm almost wondering if maybe Maleska's biding his time, picking his moment, because as we've seen here, you really don't want to race that close up to the back bumper of another driver. Case in point, what we just saw moments ago with our last caution between Jim Brooks and Nick DeGroot.
Yeah, and that all goes back to what you were saying earlier before the race started, is the braking points. 13 had a little hiccup right there off too. But that goes back to everything regarding braking points. You know, you're going so fast and you have no idea when the other driver is going to slow down for the corner. And sometimes if you're right on the back bumper of someone, it can hurt you and them.
One thing, if I remember correctly, about Phoenix, and I don't know if it necessarily would apply with these cars, but I remember that a lot of times this track, because of the low banking, it is really abrasive on that right front. The tire heat builds up an awful lot. And a lot of times on a longer run, you have a lot of difficulty, especially off of turn 4, getting that car to turn and getting up into that outside wall. So that's something these drivers are going to have to deal with, and is that going to be even more detrimental because the suspension's exposed out there? It's not like there's a hard case chassis surrounding the entire thing, keeping the cars protected if it does make contact.
Yeah, and I really don't know much about these Indy cars. I'm a stock car driver myself, so that's what I really focus on. But, you know, either way, the tires are going to get worn some way or another. I don't know if they're going to necessarily get as worn as the, say, like, stock cars here or something, but it's definitely going to get worn to the point where, like, they're going to have to start worrying about coming off turns 2 and 4 and possibly getting in a wall.
Gracious, there was contact there. We're 3 wide for the 10th position. Jim Brooks, Victor Santos, and David Leclerc were keeping it 3 abreast. Oh, and there's a wreck. I believe that might have possibly been Charles Teed right in front of this group. Caution's going to fly again.
It was Charles Teed in the number 5. He was running in the top 10. Looks like he was all alone.
Not sure if he got loose or not. I was more focused on that 3 wide battle.
He got hit from behind, unfortunately.
See if we can figure out who it was that got him. I believe
it was Eric Peterson.
Yep, I think you're right. I think it was the 36 that was running behind him as they were battling around. I believe that was Covey Moore's 15. Oh, wow, yeah, just slight contact into the right rear for Charles Teed. Up and into the wall goes the 5. And the thing that amazes me the most is I saw the smoke, and they were still racing side by side for about 2-3 rows. I'm amazed that everybody was able to get low enough to avoid running into him.
Yeah, and with these cars going as fast as they are, your reaction times have to be on point. Looks like, honestly, T just got a little loose in the corner. The 36 machine had no place to go. Like I said, going so fast, your reaction times... This is basically like super speedway racing for stock cars. You have to be on point with reaction times. And
just real interesting here. When we were on board with the 5 car, he got his left sides down underneath that yellow line, which we know is basically flat. That apron is flat, and so I'm almost wondering if the transition of the right sides being on banking and the left sides having no banking whatsoever to work with, if that's what snapped him around.
Yeah, it could definitely, cause something like that to happen. But the banking difference in 3 and 4 from the apron to the corner really isn't that much. You'd probably see that more in 1 and 2 just because, there's more banking in 1 and 2 than there is 3 and 4. But you never know. There might not be rubber laid down there. Could have just gotten loose and everything,
We're a quarter of the way through the race now, and I guess mission accomplished if you're Alex Van Desant, because with staying out, he still was able to hold the race lead after a tremendous restart, and still will be the leader when we go back green here. Same for Jim Herrick. He was able to hang on to second place as Robert Maleska the third, Eric Schaus and Kobe Moore moved up into the top 5 in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The driver that did not work out for was Krista Nelson. She has brought her car to pit road along with about 10, 12 other drivers. So we're going to have a lot of different drivers out here on different tire sequences when we indeed get the green flag back out. Looks like Charles Teed is on pit road, getting damage repaired to his race car, currently 1 lap down. I think the free pass car was Craig Forsyth, but this only gains him one of his 2 laps back, so he'll still be -1 under this caution. Paul Jennings still 2 laps down. As we wait for the pace car to give us the 1 to green signal, we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break. You won't miss a thing as we're going to go FRN side by side.
It's a road few dare to travel, a journey filled with danger and unpredictability. So why do we traverse this road? Why do we take such a gamble? Because if we don't try, we'll never know what we could have achieved. That's why we strap in, rev up, and fix our focus on the ultimate prize. Because the reward is well worth the risk. The 2021 NNSCRA Daytona 500, Saturday, February 20th, exclusively on Flat Out Racing Network.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses.
Green flag set to come back out here for race number 6 of season 2 of the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. Alex Van de Sant going to lead us back, and again, another beautiful restart. Robert Maleska III was ready, though, and he's pounced for second place on Jim Herrick.
Yeah, and that, Alex was holding his own on the first run. I'm really surprised that the tires didn't end up falling off that bad, but now you got the 2 fastest drivers in this race right now behind him, and you saw it on just 1 lap. That 91 machine has closed the gap a lot.
Close back there is Jim Herrick trying to hold on to his positions. Almost pinched Covey Moore down there, and you don't really want to be pinching anybody, especially with the fact that with the lack of banking, cars will enter low, but they're going to need about a half groove to ride up with the speeds they're carrying into the corner of over 180 miles per hour. Now, when we were with that side-by-side commercial break, one thing that you guys did not see was a little strategy being played out. Nick DeGroot in the 1 came down pit road when the 1 to green signal was given to top off the fuel tank. So one car of Nick DeGroot might be thinking we're going to be going into a long green flag run, and he might be playing a little bit strategy here in the first half of this race.
Yeah, he's running back in the 25th position right now, battling that 4 machine for 24th. One thing, like I said earlier, one thing he's got to worry about is getting involved in another person's wreck or trying to work his way through the field and wrecking himself. At the same time, these laps tick away so quick. We're running 20 to 21 second laps, and it's just, you think you have enough time. You're on lap 37 right now, and you blink an eye, and it's lap 100, and it's like, whoa, where'd the time go?
We're riding on board there for a moment with Matt Wagner as he's trying to battle for the 5th position with Covey Moore. And one thing I was noticing there, obviously, in these Indy cars, they sit much closer down to the ground. And you could see that with the track surface, there is some abrasion there, a bit of bumpiness, and I almost wonder how much the drivers feel of that and how much that affects their race cars.
You could definitely throw the car for a loop every once in a while. It could upset the handling of the car and everything like that. I'll tell you, 3 people that their cars are handling great is that top 3 right now. I'm impressed with what Alex is doing. He's actually opened up the lead back up to a half a second, and he's holding steady with Maleska.
Van de Sant coming into this race, currently tied for 6th in points with the pole sitter tonight, Eric Schaus. He's been very consistent this year, has de Sant, has had 3 top 10s in the first 5 races of the season, and right now, looking at the lap times, he is running faster than Maleska is by about 1.5 tenths, maybe 2 tenths. And what really perplexes me about that is there's nearly 20 laps difference on the tires between these two.
Yeah, and if that's any indication for what this race is going to go, you might have drivers be able to do this later in the race, and it could be a race-winning strategy if a caution comes out. If it goes green, that's a different story.
A lot of cars wadded up here for around the 9th position. Gary Corley in the 7, David Leclerc in the 50, AJ Hobson in the 63. Another driver that really struggled at the beginning of the season was David Leclerc. He finds himself currently 35th in points. That is pretty much next to last of the drivers that have taken a green flag this season. He's been running for the most part all the speedways, but the luck has just not been there for the 50 machine.
You know what I've been watching slowly work their way through the field is that 13 machine of Krista Nelson. She pit under that last caution. I don't know where she came out on pit road, but she's running in the 14th position, and she is gaining on this group of cars in front of her right now.
Up towards the front again, got a battle between Matt Wagner and Kobe Moore. Well, we did have a battle. I don't know if Wagner may have had a little bit of a slip up there off of turn 4. He now falls back into the clutches of the 24.
Wrecking in the back. That is the number 3. And Dylan, it looks like Dylan just went around on his own underneath Krista.
Don't see any damage. Fortunately for him, you do have that paved apron on the back straightaway. So he may have dodged a bullet, because I'm pretty certain that is one of our drivers that has used an early fast repair. So if he had been involved in a violent wreck here, might have been his night over.
Yeah, and that's that's something we spoke about earlier. It's like, what do you do after you use that fast repair?
Drive scared. Drive cautious.
Right. Hey, listen, when I'm going around a track this fast and this small, I'm driving scared all the time.
Fair point. Here's a look at what happened with Dylan Moskowitz in the 3 machine. He was battling around, as you were just talking about, that 13 of Krista Nelson. There was actually some smoke over on the back straightaway prior to that, and I don't know if that was from a car possibly blinking, and wow, there was just no warning. That thing just came around on him there on the back straightaway. It looked like he was thinking about maybe going up the middle 3 wide, and I don't know if he maybe got on the brakes to slow it down or what, but obviously that car got really light on him, and fortunately for him, though, that apron able to save him from hitting the inside wall, and he was able to keep that car still in one piece.
That transition point from turn 1 to turn 2, if you get on the gas in the wrong area or too hard in that spot, it will loop your car around. It doesn't matter what car you're in.
So it looks like Krista Nelson is going to be the race leader. Talked about that strategy she played, and AJ Musselman will line up there with her. And how about Nick DeGroot? Came down, topped off the fuel tank under the last caution. This is going to gain him some very valuable track position. Looks like he'll be 3rd for this restart.
So, looks like we had a little calamity coming off pit road. Looks like Oscar Gonzalez. Oh, little contact. Oh, no. Oscar Gonzalez got turned by, it looks like, the 50 of David Leclerc. He got hit from behind by Benjamin Combs, all coming off pit road.
Oscar Gonzalez it's not exactly been a great night for him. As you can see, highest he's been here tonight so far, 16th place. Oscar Gonzalez, a runner-up finisher, back when his teammate, Pablo Francis, I should say, went to victory lane at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And he's also struggling in the points, though, too, is Gonzalez. Despite that second place finish, comes into this race currently scored in the 10th position with Nicholas Wunk. That's after losing a couple of positions last week as well as the week before, since I do not believe he ran the Road America road course. So he's kind of trying to get back on the comeback trail, is the driver of the number 11. Lights out atop the pace car. Nelson, Musselman, and DeGroot, they have stayed out. Van de Sant made his first pit stop of the night. He'll line up in 4th with Maleska the 3rd and 5th. Eric Schaus in 6th. Another driver who made his first pit stop of the evening, Jim Herrick, is 7th. Kobe Moore in 8th, Matt Wagner 9th, and Victor Santos is going to complete the top 10. And I almost kind of wonder about that 24 car, because on that last run, he was cutting his way through the field. I think Santos has himself a pretty fast machine, and he was a top 3 finisher last week as well when we were at the Texas Motor Speedway. So keep an eye on that bright yellow 24.
I mean, it's pretty hard to miss considering he's neon yellow. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
Pace
Krista
car's off.
Nelson, first time I believe she's going to be leading us for a restart all season, but she does not get away. AJ Musselman is right there. Ooh, he thought about driving it deep into turn one, but had to think better of it.
Yeah, Krista did not get the restart she wanted. Definitely not the restart that the other drivers have been getting, but she's holding her own right here. And caution is out again.
And it's going to be for Oscar Gonzalez in the 11. So an issue on pit road now translates to an issue on the track. And oh, wow, it looks like he really must have pummeled something. There's black smoke erupting from underneath that machine.
He absolutely pummeled the outside wall. He turned into a blunder real quick.
Take a look and see what happened to him. I believe that's Benjamin Combs in the 77 back behind him. And, yep, they make contact. And, oh, my gracious. Wow.
Yeah,
that
when I say he...
violent.
When I say he turned into a blunder, he turned into a blunder.
Got stuck up there into the catch fence as well. And obviously that is a faster pair that Oscar Gonzalez is going to have to use. And the worst thing for him is he's not able to drive that car back to pit road. He's having to call what we call a tow, which means that it's going to, from the point of where he was on the track, the timer goes as if he was under pacing from that point to his pit stall. That's the amount of time he has to sit there before he can actually use the faster pair.
Seth, I don't know what you're talking about. He doesn't need to use faster pair. It looks like he's just going to buff out and he'll be good to go.
It's going to make it faster, right?
Yeah,
Parts
exactly.
of the car missing.
Less fiberglass on the car, wherever these cars are made out of. Okay, you are going to go faster.
I don't think he's going to take our advice.
I don't think so either.
Nearly halfway through this race now, as we knew coming into this one with the speeds that they're carrying, this race just absolutely flying by. We're working our 5th caution, and yet we're 50 laps into this race. This is kind of interesting, too, because this is playing an awful lot of parallels to last week. We ended up having about 10 laps in between our caution periods in the early portion of that race, and we're matching that here, it seems, as well. 50 laps in, 5th caution of the night. The thing of it is, though, we know that the aggressiveness is going to kick up even more when we get into the second half of this race. And so, with the cautions that we're seeing right now, these drivers, I think, have to take advantage of finding out just how good their cars are on the long run, because we could have short run spurts when we get down to 20, 15 laps to go.
Yeah, and this plays right into the hands of the guys that don't have a faster pair to make a move or two that could be a little risky, might not work out. You know, knowing they have that faster pair left in the bank. A guy that used, I believe he used his faster pair. He started 3rd tonight. Charles Teed, he is back on the lead lap running in that 24th position right now. So these cautions are helping him out.
Certainly are. Craig's Forsyth actually got the lucky dog, I believe it was 2 cautions ago. So he's now back on the lead lap, and that's important for him because he came into this race 4th in the point standings, 4 top 10s in the first 5 races. The only other drivers that have 4 top 10s to start out the season, your points leader Robert Maleska III, as well as Dylan Moskowitz, who did not run all 5 races this season. So definitely we're going to have to see if that 27 can utilize the second half of this race to work his way back up through the field en route to another top 10 finish. As we're getting ready to go back green, update on the drivers that are now off the lead lap. Paul Jennings still waiting for a couple more cautions to get back the 2 laps he lost early on. And Oscar Gonzalez, he is back on the racetrack. He did use his fast repair after sitting nearly 2.5 minutes in his stall, but he is now 2 laps down to the leaders as well.
Let's see if Krista is going to lead them back to the green flag. Let's see if she can actually get a better restart than the last one she had, as you know, AJ Musselman, he was right on her back bumper that entire time.
Certainly appeared that either Krista just did not get the start she wanted or may have spun the tires, but she was able to hold off Musselman there prior to that caution coming out. Little bit better restart this time, as she will open up some distance between herself and the 54. Nick DeGroot in the 3rd position, and watch out for that bright red number 91, because you know with the fresh tires, he is going to be moving.
Yeah, DeGroot looking to the outside, trying to make that move onto the second place position. And as that is going on, it opens up the door for Maleska. He thinks about 3 wide, thinks different, as he falls right back in line.
Might actually jump up to that second groove and follow in the tired tracks of Nick DeGroot. Nope, instead tucks in line behind the 54. We saw Robert Maleska III be able to swing around Eric Schaus early on in this race to take the race lead. He really seems to be the one driver that's been able to make that second line work. We'll see if anybody else is going to be able to here in the second half, but nope, Maleska's going to take the shorter way around the track here, taking third place away from Musselman.
Yeah, I think Musselman knew Maleska had the fresh tires and everything, and he was just like, all right, you know what? I'm going to let you go. I'm going to see what happens. And, let's see if Maleska can run down those top 2 drivers.
And here's the battle that we kind of wanted to see about the 317 of Descent as well as the 91 of Maleska III on equal footing in terms of tires, because we saw Van Descent was able to hold off Robert Maleska III on 20-lap older tires, but now he's got to worry about Eric Schaus, who kind of used the 54 as a pick to be able to pick up the 4th position.
Yeah, great move by Schaus, but here comes Descent back on the outside. Schaus should clear him going down to 3 and 4. Should be able to shut the door off turn 4 as Descent looking for the crossover. He's going to go for it. So why not? It's halfway this time by. So see what happens.
Battle's on for the lead. Nick DeGroot gave up the 2nd position to Robert Maleska III, and Maleska into turn 3 easily clears, so move the 91 back to the race lead. Now, we mentioned about Nick DeGroot having 5 victories last season. One thing he did not do was win 3 races in a row. Robert Maleska III is trying to have a 50% winning percentage in the first 6 races of the season.
Insane. As we got a big battle for 2nd place right now.
Yeah,
wow.
This is tight. That's Descent, Schaus, and DeGroot all kind of wadded up there behind the 13 of Kristen Nelson. And if they keep racing, you've got more back there that are going to catch up. Musselman's still there. Matt Wagner, Kobe Moore, and Victor Santos, they're all starting to catch up as well. So you can kind of throw a bit of a blanket over 2nd back to 10th.
Yeah, Maleska's loving every second of this. Let them keep battling, and that's going to just... Oh,
no!
Oh, that's a hard hit.
Krista Nelson off the nose of Eric Schaus in a battle for 2nd place. Hard up into the outside wall goes the 13.
Oh, I felt that hit from the broadcast booth.
Man.
That was...
violent impact.
Yeah, I'm... Thank God we're in a sim, because if we weren't...
Take a look at this. As it looked like it was clear that Schaus was going to make the move here to the inside. He indicated it seemed early enough. Well, I thought early enough. Now when I look back at the replay, maybe he pulled out of line a little later than what Kristen Nelson expected. And that's another thing too. If you're going to make a pass on somebody at a track with tight corners like Phoenix, you've got to have it clear and indicated for them. Otherwise, they're going to not really notice you, and they're just going to take the entry they want into the corner. And a lot of times that's where we end up seeing where 2 drivers want the same piece of real estate just based on that kind of miscommunication.
Yeah, and that's something you're going to have to worry about later in the race. They're not going to want to show their hands at the beginning of, the straightaway and everything. So it'd be interesting to watch. And I know I say that a lot.
With Schaus. And I mean, you'd see right here, well, it's kind of borderline, whether it was a late move to the inside or not. I mean, one angle it looks like maybe he could have moved down there a little bit sooner, and at the same time as well, it almost looked like he was about, maybe 10 feet ahead of the entrance to turn 1 when he moved down there. So there could be a case made that he made the move late. There could be a case made that he gave plenty of indication. It's kind of a 50-50 shot there.
Yeah, that looked like more of a racing deal, if anything. It sucks it had to go down like that, but, it happens. It's racing.
So Alex Van Descent, since he ended up playing strategy earlier on, he'll play strategy here again. He, along with, looks like 9 other drivers, will be staying out. Wagner, Moore, Santos, Herrick, they'll be the top 5. Gary Corley. Charles Johnson, first time we mentioned him tonight. His first appearance in the top 10 in 7th. Eric Peterson in 8th. And then Michael Spell, who got back on the lead lap about 3-4 cautions ago. He's now 9th. And then Benjamin Combs, Charles T., Josh Garner, and A.J. Hobson. That's your top 13. They were on pit road 14 laps ago. Maleska the third. This goes back to the point you made earlier, and now it's more prevalent with some of our fast runners like Maleska the third, Eric Schaus, and Nick DeGroot, because now they're back in traffic 14th through 16th.
Yeah, and that's something that, they're going to have to work their way through. I don't know. It's rather... I don't know if I'd want to try and work my way through as fast as possible or take my time to make sure I didn't get into an accident.
We're going to be going back green with less than 60 to go. We're now into the second half of this race. We don't really know what the fuel window is for these drivers, but we know that they could only make it about 30 laps tops at the 1.5-mile track last week of Atlanta, so I'm going to assume that they cannot make it the rest of this distance on what they've got in the tank, including the drivers that were just on pit road. So we've got at least one more pit stop in the future for these drivers. And, Maleska, we know, has a fast car. We know the same for Eric Schaus. But at the same time, you kind of got to curb that speed and slowly, methodically pick your way through, because we've seen a lot of the wadding up for position take place up here in the latter half of the top 10, from 6th back to about the 12th position, and that's what's right in front of a couple of drivers that have been out in front for most of the night.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to watch to see what goes down.
Lights out atop the pace car. Gonna make that left-hand duck to pit road, and we'll turn the restart over into the hands of Alex Van de Sant in the 317, who, again, he's been really good with the restarts here tonight. He does it again, pulling away from Matt Wagner, leaving what's going to be, it looks like, a battle for the second position between the 99, the 15, and the 24.
As Van de Sant gets a great launch, like you said, and we got a battle for the second position. It looks like Moore is finally underneath that 99 machine of Matt Wagner, and Victor Santos just watching on. You said to watch out for him. Well, you know what? He's running in that 4th position right now.
Santos with the runner-up finish to Maleska last week at the Texas Motor Speedway, and then behind them you've got a bit of a stack-up. Jim Herrick, Gary Corley, Charles Johnson, and Eric Peterson battling 5th through 8th.
Yeah, and right behind that, you have a battle with, A.J. Hobson, Maleska, Josh Garner, Eric Schaus, Nick DeGroot, all of those guys under a blanket right now. Just, it's going to become it's here now. It's one giant wad of cars.
Certainly is. We saw Jim Herrick. He tried the very, very high line in turns 1 and 2. No grip there for the 57 as he's dropping back. And I think we got a wreck. Someone's around, and I believe it might be Maleska. It is the 91.
Wow.
Did we call it or did we call it? Being back in traffic is not where you want to be. And the guy that came in, the points leader, back-to-back winner, puts himself back in traffic and sustains damage. The whole front wing is gone on the 91 machine, and looks like he may be dealing with some suspension problems as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a fast repair right there. So now he's out of fast repair. So, but the good thing is he can. Oh, he almost hit the tire barriers. The good thing is he can bring it back to pit road, not lose a lap from the towing.
Trying to figure out who that is that he was to the outside of, but they slid up the track, got into his left rear, sending him up into that outside wall hard. And the possibility of Maleska the third going 3 in a row, the odds have now somewhat dwindled, but again, he does have the fast repair to work with. The only problem is he's going to be back in traffic again.
Yeah, and that's something that he's going to have to worry about.
So Van de Sant does continue to stay out, as do quite a number of the other drivers that had the track position under the last caution. Looks like the highest on fresh tires when we go back green will be Eric Schaus in the 9th position. Robert Maleska III on pit road. His damage has been completed, but he is 1 lap down. So he is going to have to rely on another caution to come out here with less than 50 laps to go in order to get back on the lead lap to even be able to make forward progress in an attempt to finish 3 in a row in victory lane. Let's see if the lights go out the top of the pace car this time. If they don't, then we'll go to a commercial break. And looks like we do have another couple laps of pacing. So we're going to do another commercial break here as we are now with less than 50 laps to go at Phoenix International. Van de Sant leads the way here tonight in the Dark Horse IndyCar Series.
It's a road few dare to travel, a journey filled with danger and unpredictability. So why do we traverse this road? Why do we take such a gamble? Because if we don't try, we'll never know what we could have achieved. That's why we strap in, rev up, and fix our focus on the ultimate prize. Because the reward is well worth the risk. The 2021 NNSCRA Daytona 500, Saturday, February 20th, exclusively on Flat Out Racing Network.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Getting ready to go back. Green flag racing. Looks like we will officially have 45 laps to go when we get the green flag here at Phoenix. Alex Van de Sant showing the way. If you're just joining us, I'm Seth Cole alongside of Tom Bourne. A lot of our points contenders have had some issues here tonight. 4th in points, Craig Forsyth was involved in a wreck in the early stages. And most recently, points leader and 2-time winner this season, Robert Maleska III, running into some problems. So Phoenix is picking its punches here and could very well be shaking up those points when we head into Twin Ring Motegi next week. And you mentioned this, Tom. You just need that one bad race for the points to be blown open. It could be here tonight.
Yeah, it definitely can.
Santos is going to take the 2nd position, maybe, from Matt Wagner, who still battles up on the outside line as these drivers battle. Caution's out again, and I believe that's going to be Moskowitz in the 3 again. Did we have the same thing happen to him in the same area of the track? Because we saw him lose it through the dogleg back straightaway earlier on and not hit anything. It might have been the same case here, but it looks like this time he did sustain some damage.
You hate to see it. You really do.
Go back and see what happened to Dylan Moskowitz. Oh, yeah. This is a battle here. It was around, I think, the 15th position. And, yeah, it doesn't look like he got any help. Looks like he got loose again. He did have Kristen Nelson behind him, but I don't think anybody got into the back of him until after he was losing it. And there you can see the damage sustained on the rear end of his car. Again, one of those drivers that already utilized a fast repair, so he's going to have to come down and manually get that damage fixed. May spend a little extra time on pit road than he wanted to. We'll see if he'll be able to stay on the lead lap.
You know, when it looks like the Sant, he's down pit road. Looks like Victor Santos, he's down pit road. Not everyone coming down pit road. I don't know if these guys are going to be able to make it if it goes green the rest of the way, but we'll see. It should be interesting.
Oh, it looks like Wagner will be looking to be a two-time winner. He won the season opener at Auto Club, did Wagner. Led the points for the first 4 races of the season before eventually losing it to Robert Maleska III. And now trying to see if he can run down Maleska III for that points lead again after it looks like with this caution, Maleska will be back in the lead lap, but with Wagner running first, Maleska III is back in 25th. So, I mean, that's a lot of points that Wagner could end up gaining on the 91. It all depends on what Maleska can do here on these final 40 laps.
Yeah, and where it looks like Maleska is going to be, it looks like he got his lap back, so he's going to be restarting back in the mid-20s to, on this restart. So I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get back there.
We'll have to see. I mean, he put himself back in traffic, got involved in a wreck. Now he's back in a lot of traffic. And as you brought up, the laps flying by here, 20-second lap times for these drivers. They tick away so quickly, and so it's not a whole heck of a lot of time. 40 laps may seem like a lot of time to people, but for a driver in an Indy car, with how fast they're going around, it really isn't a lot of time, especially with the fact, too, that no matter how fast your car is, you're not going to be able to blow around 2-3 drivers every lap. You're going to have to take maybe 1 or 2 laps to be able to work your way around one race car to make sure you do it safely and without contact.
Yeah, and that's one thing that you got to worry about. It's like, well, at some point it's going to be like, I don't think I have enough time or anything like that, and you're going to start pushing the car, and next thing you know, it turns into a situation where you overpush the car, and you could cause a wreck, or you might, end up being a wreck.
So Matt Wagner and Gary Corley, they have been out there for 34 laps. Nick DeGroot, Eric Schaus, David Leclerc, and Todd Schneider, who makes his first appearance up inside the top 10, they've been out there for 16 laps. And those drivers, Van de Sant, Victor Santos, Benjamin Combs, that came to pit road, it's going to be interesting to see who actually can make it on fuel if we go green to the end. I mean, can they all make it? Can only a few make it? I don't know. This may be a fuel strategy race, and that's not necessarily something Phoenix is always known for.
Yeah, it's I know I really haven't done any fuel strategy races at Phoenix, but we'll see as the pace car is in green flag again. Matt Wagner gets off to a great start. The whole top 3 got off to a great start again.
He does indeed. He's going to leave them to battle for second place. Gary Corley in the 7, Nick DeGroot in the 1. Of course, as we mentioned, DeGroot trying to get his first win of the season coming into this year as the defending champion. And we may already have a driver with an issue. Yeah, the 3 car. Oh, and he's flipping. Krista Nelson collected as well. That was off of turn 4, and that may be the day done for Dylan Moskowitz, maybe even for Krista Nelson, because that's the second incident she's been in tonight.
Yeah, she had no place to go, as they both went for a tumble, it looks like.
Take a look and see what happened. Trying to figure out who this car is to the outside of Dylan Moskowitz. I think that might be the 36 of Eric Peterson. Oh, and that just looks so much like what happened to Charles Teed earlier on tonight. Getting those left sides down below the yellow line. The car snapping out from underneath. And as you mentioned, there's just nowhere for Kristen Nelson to go. The speed you're carrying here, you're pretty much committed to the line that you enter in and exit off of. There's no turning on a dime for these cars, and just unfortunate wrong place, wrong time for the 13 machine.
Yeah, so it sucks that it can't. There's no there's less reaction time here than what other cars are, but things happen, and unfortunately, those are one of the things that happens.
It's like Matt Wagner is going to come to pit road, giving up the race lead. That indicates to me fuel window is open now for drivers to be able to make it the rest of the way. Gary Corley in the 7, however, he's going to decide to stay out and be the leader when we go back green. So if the 99 is of the assumption that he can make it the rest of the way, I'm surprised the 7's not coming down. I don't know how much you can really save under pacing with these Indy cars, but I would assume if you've been out there now for nearly 40 laps on what you've got in the tank, I don't think you're going to be able to make it another 35 laps.
Yeah, I'm definitely unsure how the saving goes, but another guy that came down pit road is Robert Maleska, the points leader. So he topped off. It looks like he topped off. Maybe he got some new tires or something like that. Honestly, I'm thinking for what the leaders are thinking, the way this race has gone, there might be another caution, and that would open up the window to everybody. And if that's the case, and you only had those two drivers pit under this caution, then they restart in the top five, those leaders. And honestly, that's great track position than rather pitting now and being behind everyone.
So it will be Gary Corley, the leader, when we go back green, with DeGroot in second. Eric Schaus, who's trying to make it 3 weeks in a row where a driver goes coast-to-coast pole to win. Maleska III has done it the last 2 weeks in a row. Schaus was the pole sitter here tonight. He'll be third place with David Leclerc in fourth, Covey Moore in fifth. It'll be Todd Schneider, Eric Peterson, AJ Hobson, Charles Johnson, and Joe McAdory. That's going to be the top 10 we go back green. Oscar Gonzalez, we saw him go around the field. He was the recipient of the lucky dog under this caution, but he is still 1 lap down. Dylan Moskowitz still sits on pit road. They're trying to get the damage repaired on his machine, but he is 4 laps down again as well. Already, I'm certain, has used his fast repair from an incident earlier on tonight. And it looks like we are going to have our first retiree out of the race. Krista Nelson, tough break for her. She's going to finish 29th position here this evening at Phoenix.
Yeah, and it didn't look like she had race-winning speed, but she definitely had a solid car tonight. And it's horrible to see her go out like that. You know, the only retiree of the race tonight, especially so late in the race, also.
Krista Nelson's been struggling this year in the points as well, 26th in the standings. Still was searching for her first top 10 of the season. Was running up as high as the race lead, led us to green on a couple of restarts, and then got wrecked from the second position, and then the night just kind of seemed to go completely downhill from there. Lights out atop the pace car. We're nearing 30 laps to go here at Phoenix. Gary Corley trying to pull off a miracle win here tonight. Corley comes into this race currently finding himself in the 24th position in points. So imagine what kind of a victory this would be for the driver of the 7.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a great momentum day for that 7 machine, as he got off to a great restart on there. And go ahead.
Got DeGroot in second place trying to run him down. That last time by, you could see the difference between the fresh and old tires, even though the difference is both of them have old tires, but there is a difference of 18 laps, and there you just see it visibly. Nick DeGroot blows by Gary Corley, and the defending champ has gone to the race lead.
We got a three-way battle now for the lead, it looks like. Eric Schaus, he was our pole sitter tonight, and it looks like he's going to try and go for that first position back, as he's trying to get underneath second place of Gary Corley right now.
Mentioned at the beginning of the night, Eric Schaus in a new livery. The thing I love, though, is the livery he had in the first 5 races was a neon green, blue, and pink machine. Most visible car on the track. I love how he's got a different livery tonight, but he's still got a little hint of his old scheme with those bright, hot pink hubs.
You can never go. You can never get away from your primary scheme fully. You know, there's always something that's on that new car that reminds you of the previous scheme. I personally, I think it's, a little superstitious. If you do well in a certain scheme and everything like that, you want to try and bring some luck to a new scheme by putting, part of your old scheme into it. At least that's my opinion on it.
David Leclerc has now moved up to 3rd. This is the highest we've seen him run in a long, long time. He has struggled. Caution's out. And it's going to be, I believe, Jim Herrick in the 57. Several others wrecking. Craig Forsyth in the 27 collected up as well. Second incident he's been involved here this evening. Another car right there. I think it's the 12 of Josh Garner. So at least 3 drivers collected up in this one through the dogleg back straightaway.
You hate to see it. You really do. But We're going to restart with roughly 20 to go.
And this was the second incident that Craig Forsyth, fourth in the standings, has been involved in. And so this could very well be his evening over. As, man, he just got run over. And that was the 91 of Robert Maleska III that actually got into him in his attempt to fight his way back up through the field, back up to the race lead.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. Laps ticking down. You got to go. And sometimes you can't go when you have to.
Taken on board with the 91. As he carried a lot of speed in, that's for sure. And I'm not certain if he pushed up with that speed or if he just didn't gauge correctly the distance, the closing rate between himself and the 27. But here it is on board with the points leader. Oh, wow. The closing rate was huge. Oh, actually, there was a wreck up ahead of them, actually. I didn't even see that. I'm wondering if the 27 checked up for the wreck up ahead and Maleska III didn't even see it.
Yeah, and that goes back to the whole reaction time ordeal. You know, you don't have much time to react in these cars. It looks like, nope, they stay out. Top two just tried to fake me out on the broadcast, and I'm not a fan of that.
I'm going to try and see if I can find who that driver was that spun out ahead of Forsyth, and it was the 57 of Jim Herrick, and I think he may have gotten a little help out of turn two. Slides up the track. Oh, wow, he was actually loose before whoever that was got into him. And then you see further back there, when Forsyth goes up the track, he collects the 12 of Josh Garner. And those two actually went airborne as well. So we actually had a wreck and then a follow-up wreck with drivers trying to check up for the incident ahead of them.
Yeah, and that sucks. Chain reactions are probably the worst wrecks that you can be a part of because you can't control it.
Well, Nick DeGroot was able to get the race lead. He'll be the leader when we go back green. And now we're going to have to see, I mean, we're now into the nitty-gritty. It's going to be right around 20 laps to go when we do go back green. And I don't know if we're going to end up seeing 1, 2, maybe 3 more cautions before this thing is over.
I really hope not. I mean, I want to see where this goes for a, green flag run to the finish.
Going to be Schaus in second, Leclerc in third, Corley in fourth. Surprised he's not come to pit road. He's been out there for 50 laps, and we saw just how many positions and how much time he was losing on those older tires. And he decides to still hang in that fourth position. Covey Moore, he's going to be in fifth with Eric Peterson, AJ Hobson, Charles Johnson, Alex Desant, and Paul Jennings now the top 10. Yes, Paul Jennings, the driver who pretty much started this race out 2 laps down, getting involved in the first incident of the night. What a comeback for the 74 machine.
Yeah, definitely great way to come back. He's here running in that 9th position, and he could get an easy top 10 out of this as long as he keeps his nose clean.
Tough break for Craig Forsyth, 4th in points. The defending Indy 500 winner from last season. He is out of the race. Looks like he will finish probably in the 27th position. As behind in the 4th position, that's where the battle is. Corley on those old tires trying to hold off Covey Moore in the 15.
As we have a gaggle of cars back here for that 9th and 10th position. There's about 7, 8 of them all underneath a blanket. We have a little contact in the back.
That was the 88 got forced up the track there of Michael Spell.
Yeah, it looks like Benjamin Combs got into him. He's had some run-ins with people this race. It's not his first.
71? How about Gail Brooks at 71 now, up almost into the top 10. Had a great run going last week at the Texas Motor Speedway before getting involved in a late race incident and running solidly again here tonight at Phoenix.
Yeah, doing a great job running in that 11th position right now. Oh, as I said, I'm done.
No.
I'm not talking. I'm not
And
talking
the
anymore.
whole front straightaway is littered with race cars. That spell up and over the pit wall. Jennings in the 74, the 71 of Gail Brooks, the 86 of Todd Schneider, the 4 of Joe McAdory, Benjamin Combs in the 77, and I'm sure there's others.
Seth, I'm going to leave the booth right now. Okay?
I opened the door for that conversation on the 71, so that one wasn't on you.
But you see, I continued the conversation, and then as I was talking about him, it happened. I'm just, that's not, I'm going to.
Let's go back and see what happened here, because that was in one of the worst places of the track on the front straightaway, because you got the pit wall separating the racetrack from pit lane. So the track gets completely blockaded up. There's Combs, nowhere to go. There is Spell. The other car, the black car that was flipping upside down, that was Jennings in the 74, who was trying to mount a comeback run. There you see that other car there. I think that might have possibly been Schneider in the 86, or that might actually been McAdory in the Ford, the silver machine that was up against the outside wall. We'll take another couple of camera angles here, and looks like some other drivers that had already used early fast repairs, they are out. Michael Spell in the 88 and Benjamin Combs in the 77, the latest of those.
My God. Well, we're definitely going to restart with at least 20 to go this time.
Yes, that is for certain. There he's, oh man, nowhere for Todd Schneider to go. So he gets hard into Benjamin Combs. Like Jeffrey Duncan may have gotten a piece of that as well in the 32 machine. And we're going to see if we can get an onboard here. We'll take the onboard with the 74 of Paul Jennings, who was having such a great comeback run after getting involved in an early incident. And this is the thing, too. Visibility. It's the nighttime. The lights glare down on the smoke, and so it would make it a lot more difficult, I think, for a driver heading off of turn 4 onto the front straightaway, being able to figure out which direction the cars are spinning. Are they spinning to the left? Are they spinning to the right? Is there an area to be able to sneak through?
When cars are going this fast, it's kind of hard to figure that out.
So it looks like 4 drivers officially out of this race. 2 other drivers I think we could call out of this race at this point, even though they're just still sitting on pit lane. That being the 74 of Paul Jennings and the 3 of Dylan Muskowitz, who is still sitting there after his incident under the last caution. Nick DeGroot, one thing that he was very good at last season, which led to his 5 trips to victory lane, is when he would get up to the front, he would stay at the front. He was very good at restarts. And he's going to have the field in control here when we go back green for what's going to be somewhere, I believe, probably if the lights go out this time, it will be with 15 laps to go. Eric Schaus, though, we know he's got a fast car. He put the car on the pole here this evening. So we know he's got the pace to be able to battle with Nick DeGroot. I really think that if we do manage to go green for these final 15 laps, it's going to come down to how well Schaus is able to time this restart as to whether he's going to have a shot of getting this victory or whether DeGroot's going to be able to run away with it.
I think DeGroot's going to be able to hold them off, in my opinion.
We'll see if he's going to be able to. Leclerc there in 3rd, Corley in 4th, and Covey Moore there in 5th position. These cautions coming out in short order have really been a godsend for that 7 machine. He is the one out there on the oldest tires. 58 laps he's been out there on those Firestones. That's 18 laps older than the top 3. That is about 24 laps older than drivers behind him. And then you've got drivers that have come to pit road and gotten some damage repaired, topped off the fuel tank, like Nicholas Winook, Jeffrey Duncan, Joe McAdory. So we know for certain that they're good to make it on fuel, and they may actually have a little bit of extra speed on this potentially final run to the end. Update on the points leader, Robert Maleska III. He got through that wreck. He's in the 15th position. The driver that's trying to run him down for the points lead, Matt Wagner, finds himself only 3 spots ahead in 12th place. So not a whole lot of ground being gained for the points lead heading into next week, as boy, they got stacked up there as DeGroot gets us back underway.
Yeah, DeGroot did not get the pull that he wanted off the line, as he could not really pull away from that 72 machine of Eric Schaus, as they are about 3 car lengths, now 2 car lengths in between them for that race lead. Don't look now, David Leclerc, he's chilling in 3rd place, just waiting and picking his spot.
Had 3 drivers and 3 different lines there through 1 and 2 the last time as well. DeGroot right down against the inside line. About a half groove up was Schaus, and then way up the track in the second groove with the 50 of David Leclerc. And he's up there again going through 3 and 4, trying to find something, maybe trying to translate that to straightaway speed. And boy, did it work! How quickly he got to the back of the 72 on the front straightaway.
Yeah, when you're up on that high side, you know what? You're going to lose a little time through the corner, but you're going to gain all back coming off, as we have a great battle for second place right now.
Again to the top side goes Leclerc in that Red Bull machine. Tries to see where he can take the momentum. He'll jump to the outside again there. I thought he was going to try and cross over to the inside of Eric Schaus, but I don't think he was clear. And this time, way up the track, too high, and caution is out. It's Charles Johnson in the 14 heading out of turn 2. Another car smoking up ahead. Hard to tell who that is on the apron of the back straightaway.
Oh boy.
It was either the 32 of Jeffrey Duncan or the 11 of Oscar Gonzalez, potentially. And this is going to now set us up for a restart with less than 10 laps to go.
Boy, oh boy.
Let's take a look and see what happened to Charles Johnson, as David Leclerc had just almost gotten up into the wall prior to this, and this was a battle. I believe this is Victor Santos in the 24 trying to make a pass into turn 1. And again, this is another case that we saw earlier of where you make that late move into the corner, and I don't think the 14 of Charles Johnson was ready for it, and indeed it was the 11 of Oscar Gonzalez that popped the 14 up into the air. Heavy contact there, and I believe that Oscar Gonzalez is a driver that's already utilized his fast repair, so that could be his evening over. Not certain about the 14 of Charles Johnson. He was having a great run tonight, was up inside the top 10. It was a battle for the 7th position at the time when that wreck occurred.
Well, as we stand right now, looks like we have 20 cars on the lead lap, coming to 9 to go under caution. So, it's definitely going to shape up for something.
So the 91 of Robert Maleska III, who got involved in the Red Wreck Mick Pack, had to work his way back up from around the 26th position. He worked his way up to 15th prior to this caution. He's now up to 11th. We know for certain we're going to be getting the green flag with less than 10 to go. We don't know the exact number. But with 10 drivers up ahead of him, including fast machines like DeGroot, Schaus, Leclerc, Moore, Santos, DeSant, is there enough time, do you think, for him to be able to get up here? Or is this just now, this next run, going to be damage control for the 91 to try and manage the gap, the points gap between himself and Matt Wagner going into Twin Ring Motegi?
Honestly, I think it's going to come down to he's got to get as many positions as possible. But at the same time, you can't wreck the race car. I've got a feeling there's going to be there might be one more caution before this race is over. If it happens in front of him, he's got to make sure to stay out of it. And if he does, that's more positions for him.
We're going to get ourselves situated. These drivers obviously going to get themselves physically and mentally set for what could be the final restart of the night. We're going to step aside for one quick commercial break, and then we'll be back here for the finish here tonight of race number 6 of the Dark Horse IndyCar Series at Phoenix.
It's a road few dare to travel, a journey filled with danger and unpredictability. So why do we traverse this road? Why do we take such a gamble? Because if we don't try, we'll never know what we could have achieved. That's why we strap in, rev up, and fix our focus on the ultimate prize. Because the reward is well worth the risk. The 2021 NNSCRA Daytona 500, Saturday, February 20th, exclusively on Flat Out Racing Network.
Here we go, getting set for officially 7 laps to go here tonight at Phoenix International Raceway as Nick DeGroot gets us back under the green flag. Schaus didn't get the best of restarts, but I guess it was good enough. And Gary Corley, old tires and all, he's trying to take the 3rd place away from David Leclerc.
Yeah, we're coming to 6 laps to go right now. You have to go. You have to put everything on the table to try and get those positions because, listen, 6 laps to go, 20 seconds a lap, that's 2 minutes. 2 minutes of green flag racing left, and that's going to go by very, very quickly.
Driver who's moving is AJ Hobson. Hasn't won since Auto Club of Season 1. And he has just moved his way into the top 5, getting around Kobe Moore. Whoa, Victor Santos getting a little loose there off of turn 4 as he tried to make a move for the 6th position.
He's still underneath Moore for that 6th position as he makes the pass right now. And honestly, Maleska, we talked about him before the commercial break. He's only up. He only gained 1 spot. That car is damaged to the point where.
Oh, I think we might have had a wreck. Gary Corley is dropping quickly. No, he's on the apron. Issues for the 7. Is he out of fuel? Maybe.
I don't know. I'm gonna take a quick look and see. He's fine going into turn 3.
Still green, 3 laps to go, about 0.6 of a second from DeGroot back to Schaus. The battle for seconds actually closer than the battle for the race lead right now, as it looks like that 7 is still creeping and crawling on the apron there on turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, I think he just ran out of fuel.
So tough break there for the 7, who was en route at the time for a top 5 run, and now DeGroot's having to make his way around a slower machine. That's Paul Jennings in the 74 lap-down car. Quickly makes work of him. Same as Eric Schaus. Same as David Leclerc. 1 lap to go. 1 mile left for Nick DeGroot and his first win of the season.
Yeah, Nick DeGroot has everything in the palm of his hands right now. Just needs to make it through turns 3 and 4. Nice and smooth. And coming off turn number 4, Nick DeGroot punches his ticket into the win column as he gets win number 1 on the season. Eric Schaus finishes 2nd, David Leclerc 3rd, AJ Hobson 4th, and Victor Santos rounding out your top 5.
The champ is back, and he wants his crown. It's Nick DeGroot finally finding victory lane. Something that we expected to probably say a lot sooner than 6 races in, but finally he gets it done. This may be the start of getting his season turned around as he came into tonight 8th in the point standings, but finally, he's going to be putting that championship number 1 back in victory lane here in Season 2, as pulling right up alongside him there. I believe that is his teammate, and I believe that's the 15 of Kobe Moore pulling alongside, and now going to burn it down here in the desert is Nick DeGroot.
A big congratulations to Nick, making sure he finally gets that monkey off his back, especially after winning 5 races last season. Finally getting it in the win column. I think he's going to take this momentum into the next couple races, and he's going to be someone to watch for.
Eric Schaus, the consistency continues for him in 2nd. Best finish of the year for David Leclerc, though, in 3rd place after the struggles he's been having. AJ Hobson, I think this might be his first top 5 of the season. He'll get 4th, and back-to-back top 5s for Victor Santos after a top 3 last week. He gets a top 5 this week in 5th. Kobe Moore, the consistency continues for him. He's 6th, Desant in 7th. Oleska the 3rd was able to battle up for 8th place, but undoubtedly this was a driver that, if he'd been up inside of the top 3 on the last restart, might have had something to say about this win. AJ Musselman gets 9th, and Matt Wagner is going to complete the top 10, and we're going to take a look through the rest of the finishing results. We start working our way down, and there's some drivers that are really going to have some issues heading into Motegi as far as their points position, namely the 27 of Craig Forsyth came in 4th in the standings, and his streak of finishing up inside of the top 10, it's going to come to an end here tonight. 27th for that driver.
Yeah, that's a shame to see, finishing back in that 27th position. Gary Coley, just real quick, running top 5, finishes 20th, 3 laps down.
Tough break there. I don't know if he was expecting a couple more cautions to maybe come out to help him save enough fuel to make it to the end, but came up about 3 laps short of being able to get to the conclusion of this race. Great performance nonetheless for him here tonight. Spent a good portion of the second half up inside of the top 5, just was not able to make it the scheduled distance on what he had in the tank. Let's see if we can get some interviews now with our top 3 finishers. And for the first time this season, we're going to get to talk with the driver of the number 50, that being David Leclerc. Hey David, it's Tom and Seth up here in the Flat Out Racing Number Studios. You got us?
10-4, how are you?
Well, we're doing good, man. We've documented the struggles you've been having at the speedways this season. First off, how good is it to finally be able to get this 50 car up there in a solid finishing position of 3rd place?
Me a little bit of hope. I thought I was losing it there, but I think if I just concentrate on each particular race and get some practice in and maintain my composure, I think it'll be okay. Just got to be patient.
You know, we saw only a few drivers utilize the second groove here in the early stages of the race, and we saw them make up ground. You were able to make up a lot of ground, especially through 3 and 4 in that battle between yourself and the 72. If you've been able to be up there in the vicinity of the group for the race win, do you think that that second groove could have played a factor into you battling him for this win here tonight?
Yeah, that second groove, I did have it working pretty good. There's a little bit of a knack to it, but yeah, Nick's pretty good, so is Eric. So you got to be pretty on your game to beat those 2 guys. That's for sure.
And David, you mentioned it earlier. You had a good run on everything. It gives you a little hope. Do you think this is gonna give you a momentum shift and going into the next couple races and potentially getting more good finishes going forward?
I certainly hope so. That's my plan. Just kind of, like I said, right on each race individually, get the setup, do some practice, figure out where the lines are. Just more or less. I mean, we've raced all the tracks pretty much, so it's basically, just kind of getting used to the setup and where it starts to slide out on you and stuff, and what lap. But hopefully I can keep it together and get a few more podiums. It'd be great.
Absolutely. Well, David, congratulations on a solid outing here tonight. Your first top 5, your first podium finish of the season. We got Motegi coming up, another somewhat lower bank track next week. So hopefully this good mojo is going to transfer over to there. And we're going to give the opportunity now for some thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Dark Horse and all the admins. They do a great job. And I'd like to thank you guys and also everybody in the league. They're a great bunch of guys to race with, and I look forward to it every week. Thanks, guys.
That's David Leclerc, 3rd place here tonight under the lights at Phoenix International Raceway, as we'll now see if we can get our 2nd place finisher, and that is Eric Schaus. Hey, Eric, it's Tom and Seth up here in the Flat Out Racing Network Studios. You got us?
Hey, Seth, how's it going?
Oh, good, man. We have documented just how consistent this 72 car has been week after week after week. Had a little bit of an issue trying to find it on track. I'm used to seeing that neon green, blue, and pink machine, but your pink hubs allowed me to figure out where you were. But, man, another solid outing here tonight. You qualified on pole. You almost pulled off the coast to coast. What little more do you need to be able to stay with Nick on that final restart?
Well, to be honest, at the end there, I don't think there's a lot you can do sitting in second. The guy with clean air, and especially with him being on the same pit strategy as me, it's too difficult to stick with him. The best you can do is stay about a half a second behind and just kind of run in his draft and keep it clean from there. So it was a good job by him to get up front quickly, or at the right time, I guess, and then hold that lead. So good on him.
Now we ended up seeing you and the 91 have quite a number of spirited battles in the early stages of this race, and then the 2 of you decided to come to pit road, found yourself mired back in traffic. Now, we saw that Maleska III got caught up in an incident being back there. How much of an issue was traffic for you with knowing that there was older tires up ahead of you and more than likely drivers that were going to have much earlier braking zones than you did with your fresh tires?
Yeah, when we pitted, I followed Robert in. I was just trying to stay on the same strategy as him. I knew he was faster than me, so I wanted to stick with him. After pitting, though, and seeing that very few other people pitted, I felt like it was a bad call, and I was concerned about the lap or the traffic in front of us. Fortunately, we had enough cautions that cleared them out of the way pretty quickly, and I only really had to pass 1 or 2 guys on track, and then got my position back just through pit cycle.
Yeah, and you qualified pole. You finished second. Does this give you any momentum going into the next couple races to keep that streak alive? Snapping Maleska's pole streak here tonight.
Yeah, I think this is a good overall run. I'm happy with it. It's nice to take the first pole away from Robert. Hopefully, it's not my last. But yeah, I think it sets us up good. It's good points for the team, and I look forward to next week with these guys.
One final question for you here, Eric. I mean, we talk about the fact that, the IndyCar season is completely different from a lot of other leagues where they end up having the playoffs. You win your way into the playoffs, you're going to battle for the championship. It's all about consistency here in this type of a series, accumulating the most points at season's end. With the runs that Maleska had early on in this season in the first 5 races, are you of the mentality of still just remaining consistent, or is there a little bit of a voice in the back of your mind saying, if I'm going to be competing for this championship at the end of the season, I got to find victory lane at least a couple of times?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I do need to get a win or 2 under my belt. I think I've shown I can consistently be up in the top 5, if not podium position, just about every race, which I'm pretty happy with. Like you said, it's about consistency. So if I can be consistently up there, the win will come eventually.
No doubt. Well, Eric, congratulations. Second place here tonight. You've been very consistent up there inside of the top 5 week after week. 3 top 5s in the first 5 starts, and now it'll be 4 in the first 6 starts. And obviously, we pretty much expect that at some point here, with the speed we've seen out of that car, we're going to see in victory lane pretty soon. We're going to give the opportunity now for some thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, thanks to my team here at Dark Horse, Charles T, Eric Peterson, Josh Garner, those guys. Thanks to Dark Horse League itself. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast. It's always excellent to go back and watch it. Thanks to Lionheart for all the support that they show our league. And then finally, thanks to my wife for always supporting me and watching me.
That's Eric Schaus. He's going to take a second place here tonight at Phoenix into Twin Ring Motegi next week. And undoubtedly, this will move him up even higher in the top 5 in points heading into that race next week as well. Congrats, Eric, on a great run.
Thanks, Seth.
And last but not least, let's go down to victory lane and talk with tonight's winner, Nick DeGroot. Hey, Nick, it's Tom and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yep, I got you.
Man, I think the word that stands out here tonight is finally. You come into this season the defending champion. Things just did not seem to go your way in the closing stages of a lot of these speedway races, but here tonight, the strategy works. The track position was there late. You were the control car on the restarts. You finally find victory lane. I mean, how much of a weight is that off your shoulders? Because I got to think that there was a little bit of a daunting cloud coming into this new season, knowing that you were going to be the one everybody was going to be targeting to try and take this championship away.
Yeah, ever since that first race when I threw away a shot at the wind spinning out of the last corner on the last lap at Fontana, it's kind of been weighing on me. Okay, when's it going to come? But if you told me it was going to be Phoenix, I would not have believed you. But yeah, it feels so good to finally get that W, get back to victory lane, and finally score some points because we're in dire need of them.
We ended up seeing you a couple of times come down pit road, give up some track position. On other occasions, stay out on older tires. A lot of cautions intermingled in this race, about an average of 10 laps per caution. So how difficult was it to kind of manage your strategy, not knowing when those cautions were going to fall?
Yeah, we could have gotten a top 10 if we just played that race straight, but I knew I was going to have to jump people in order to get back up there because it was so difficult to pass, and clean air was worth so much. So we had a caution with I think it was 50, I can't tell you exactly. It was like lap 63 or whatever, just past halfway. And I came down. I'm like, all right, I'm going to need a lot of cautions to make it. But based on what we've seen, that could happen. Kind of just chill in the pack, let the cautions hopefully come and put your fate in its hands. And we had so many yellows, as you saw, unfortunately for the rest of the field, but very fortunately for us. And we were able to get back up there and just kind of cycle into the lead. And once we got it, we held it. That clean air, it's worth more than even tires, I think.
And Nick, you said it, the clean air meant more than tires. Did you think once you got that race lead, if anybody pit behind you, did you think anybody was going to be able to take it away from you, or were you going to be able to hold your own?
I was very confident once I passed Corley for the lead. The only thing that concerned me was if I got a bad restart, because that was actually the way I'd gotten Schaus when we were moving up through the field, he had a checkup on a restart, and I was able to get around him. So he probably was going to be in the position I was if not for that. But yeah, besides restarts, I was very confident I could hold them all off. And we had a lot of restarts, so that was a bit nerve-wracking.
All right, so Nick, the points are in after tonight's event. You gain 4 spots in the standings, moving up to 4th in points. Still 58 points behind Maleska going into Twin Ring Motegi. I've seen you run at that track before. I know that you're very fast there. Is that another place you've got circled to try and find victory lane again, to try and cut into that points lead?
Absolutely. We won at Motegi last season. I've won there in other leagues. It's a track that's very unique, and if you get it, you get it. And it's one I always have circled on the calendar. So I'm happy that it's this upcoming weekend or upcoming week, so we can just keep the momentum rolling and maybe go back to back.
All right, well, we wish you luck with that. Congratulations on your first win of the season here tonight at Phoenix. We're now going to give you the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, well, Factory Back Motorsports, glad to get him to victory lane first time this season. Cowboy Shit, Buck Kicker, Lionheart, who helps provide these setups. My teammates Gilmore, George Onzaldo. And yeah, we need to get the other 2 to victory lane. That's the next goal now. We need to get all 3 of these cars to victory lane in the coming weeks, and I think we can do it. We're edging closer and closer. Covey had a good finish tonight too, so I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Well, the championship car finally finds victory lane. Nick DeGroot burns it down here tonight under the lights at Phoenix International Speedway. Congratulations there, Nick. We look forward to seeing you carry this momentum into Motegi next week, but for now, go enjoy your win.
Thank you. I will.
And so as DeGroot celebrates his first win of the season, just to take a look here at the point standings now heading into Motegi next week, not a whole lot has changed in terms of the gap from first to second points-wise, but there have been some movers and shakers. You got Maleska still leading. Victor Santos is now going to move up to second, 42 points back. Wagner drops a spot to third. Nick DeGroot up to fourth, moving from 8th to the 4th position with this win. Schaus going to move up a spot to 5th. Then it's Van de Sant, Charles Teed in 7th. Craig Forsyth, as we mentioned, was probably going to be the biggest loser in points tonight with his finish down in the 27th position. He drops 4 spots in the standings to 8th. Dylan Moskowitz and Nicholas Winook going to be the top 10. 109 points separate the top 10, only 6 races in. That kind of seems like a huge margin this early on in the season, Tom.
Yeah, but you know what? Anything can happen. Still a long season to go. We're only 6 races in. You know, a lot of things can happen after those, you know, after this race. Guys can go on a bad luck streak and be finishing towards the back or wrecking out every week. Those guys that are in the back could end up being up front every week. You never know.
Absolutely. Well, from the lights of Phoenix to the daytime of Twin Ring Motegi, we're going to be going across the ocean into Japan and going to be having our 7th race of the season at that historic venue. Should be a good one. As Nick DeGroot alluded to, he's the defending winner of that race, so we'll see if he can, like Robert Maleska III, double down here this season in the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. Been a great one here tonight, though, in the desert. Tom, appreciate you joining me in the booth tonight.
Always a pleasure, Seth, and you know, I'm excited to see what happens next week.
Absolutely. We're getting close to the first half of the season being over and heading for the home stretch for the championship. Hope you guys join us at Motegi next week. Green flag scheduled to fly at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Wednesday night. For Tom Boren, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your evening, folks. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flat Out Racing Network.
This Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flat Out Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flat Out Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoy